Hey all, this is Tillery, and welcome to my channel. Hey everyone, today I am adding the next video in my Steps Before Outlining series. What I wanted to talk about today is character creation in 10 steps. These are the 10 steps I do every time I write a novel for my characters. And it doesn't really matter which kind of novel it is. These are the 10 steps I take to do my character creation. So let's jump into it. Number 1, personality traits. That can be anything from a character's traits such as being calm, loud, stoic, happy, angry, those type of personality. You can even look up personality traits if you really want to get into that and you don't know exactly how you want your character to be. But this is a character creation. You might have an idea in mind. But that's the first one I start with, is personality of the character. And this can apply to sub-characters as well as secondary characters, what have you. Number 2, name. So the name plays a very big part of my character. I do personality first because of the traits and who the character is going to be. But then the name plays in from the personality, in my opinion, and that's how I do it to make my character. Everyone makes their characters differently, but this is how I start. So I pick the character's name based on based on the personality traits that I came up with before the name. Also, name has a little bit more details into it once you get into that, as far as the place that the name came from or what the name means, because I always look up the meaning of names. Like if I'm going to use a name, I look up the meaning. That could be a very important thing. Names have power. Words have power. So definitely check into the name that you come up with. Maybe you have a name in mind immediately, even before you looked into personality traits or thought up what your character is going to be like. So even if that's the case, check out the name. See what it means. It could have a staple in your story. You never know. Number 3, age. So I come up with the age of my character after the personality traits and name. This is going to determine the maturity of my character. I know some people are like, well, you can be quite mature at a younger age. This is true. You can. Everyone's different, of course, and when they get to a level of maturity. But there are certain things, depending on your age bracket, depending on where you are in life or as your age, what, your brain development, so to speak. Some things, and I learned this getting older, I'm in my 30s now, I can say for sure that how I think about things now, I did not think about them the same way when I was in my early 20s and when I was a teenager. Your teenager mentality is completely different than your mentality when you're in your early to mid 30s. So that's not to put down anyone because of their age or anything like that. It has nothing to do with that. It's just a fact of how our brains develop. And of course everyone's brain will develop differently and at different stages, your intellect and things of that nature. But like I said, when you're creating your character, the age will come into play about how the person possibly will respond to things or how they will think about things. You might want to think about that when you give your character their age. So age is number 3. Number 4, place of birth. Place of birth, that is also a thing to think about. This is going to come into play into your story, where your character was born. This may not be brought up in your story, but as far as building your character's background for you, the writer, this will give you a understanding of your character in different ways. So place of birth is number 4. Give that some thought. This is going to lead to, where your character is born has a lot of stuff. The climate, where they were born, the country, or the planet, or whatever kind of story you're writing. The place of birth is going to play a part, rather you bring it up in the story or not, though I'm not sure you will or won't. But if for you, the writer, knowing this information will help you build your character. Number 5, features. Now, features are they could go very, very detailed or not be detailed at all, depending on what kind of writer you are. Depending on what kind of story you're telling. Some writers don't go into great detail in features. They may want the reader to come up with their own description of the character. But I do a good detail of features for myself, even if I don't put it all in the book when I'm describing the characters to the reader. So, but the features, you come up with as many as you would like. Some people do get their characters designed by artists, and having these things already taken care of will help you later. Something you don't have to worry about thinking of after the fact. So it's all these character creation aspects, the 10 steps, are for you, the writer, to create your character before you even get to outlining and creating your story. So take that into consideration. Features. How detailed do you want to go with that? Does the character have one eyebrow that has a slight scar across it? That could come into later in other character details, like why does he have that scar there? Or the character may have multiple colored eyes. They may have astigmatism. They may have, one eye that is half brown, half blue, or spotted with yellow, or something like that. Details of features. And then you could use that. That could be used in the story of birth and things of that. Like maybe one of the character's parents had different color eyes, and then it's, they got one blue, one purple, or something like that. But features, you could play with that all day. Seriously. All day. Number 6, style. Now this one's a little off of the, a little off to the side as far as the character, but think about if you had the choice to, because not everyone has the choice, to pick the exact vehicle that you want to drive, and you had all the money to spend, what kind of vehicle would you purchase? Some people are more, some people will pick something that's exactly the way they like, the way it looks, as far as like the make and model and the color of the vehicle. It has to be a certain style. Some people don't want to just drive anything when they have the choice. Also, some people are okay with getting a vehicle that gets from point A to point B. These are all things that make up a person's thought process and their style. There's nothing wrong with having your own style and what you like. That's actually part of you. You're expressing yourself, and different things that you do. So style I am speaking of is the character's clothing style and hairstyle, that type of thing. So I will think about my character after I've done personality traits, the name, the age, place of birth, features, and now style. That's something you come up with on your own. I don't know if you want to lead it from those other 5 aspects. Style could be anything from, like one of my characters, he wears predominantly a blazer, button-down shirts. He wears black a lot. He will possibly wear a duster sometimes. That's a coat, if you didn't know that. But he mostly dresses in suit-style attire. And he wears his hair slicked back in most cases, or in a ponytail. He has decent length hair. But I came up with all those things because I started creating the other factors before I got to his style. And your style can express your personality and who you are. It's just, but people will try to judge you on your style and what you look like, and it might actually not represent exactly who you are inside and who you are in your mind. Because I am a goth. I dress goth, so I wear a lot of black, and I wear chains, and I wear leather and spikes and skulls, things like that. But people will see that and see me wearing heels and like platform shoes, and I dress up whenever I go out all the time. This is who I am, and my hair is always done, and I wear makeup. So people judge you by seeing that. They're like, well, blah 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 about something that they think they know, and they think they know who you are right off the bat. How many times have I been called, "Are you a devil worshiper because you're goth?" And you're sitting there laughing like, okay, you apparently know nothing about goth people. That's cool. But anyway, it's just funny. But that, again, style comes into play. You can even use that in your book when you're writing. Style. Is the style of my character going to bring up issues with other people in the book? Are they going to judge the character by their style? That type of thing. I mean, when you're writing, it can become very, very elaborate, So, yeah, style. Think about how will your character dress. And then not necessarily you want to bring this up in the book a lot or talk about how they're dressed. You may give a slight description in the book, but when you're creating your character, at least you know who your character is. Like, what they like, what they don't like. Stuff like that. So that's about style. Alright, on to number 7. Beliefs or lack thereof. Your character can have any kind of belief. It doesn't matter, religious, otherwise, no religion. You can make a new way of life, a new belief system, whatever the case may be for your book. That's another step in character creation. Rather, you're going to have your character have belief in God, belief in no God, belief in just self, or whatever it may be. You could be a religion that exists in our world, or you made a whole new one, whatever. But that is another step in creating your character. Helps you, again, understand your character. You are the creator of this character, so you want to understand them and what they believe in or not believe in. Number 8. Modus operandi. So, the driving force behind your character. Yes, that is something that I'm not sure that other people think about or not. It does come into play in the story, so I would imagine that they do think of this. But that is something you want to think about before you get to outlining and while you're creating your characters. So, modus operandi. Look that up and get an understanding of what's the driving force behind your character. Number 9, upbringing. This one's a little odd maybe for some people. This is how I do it, and it's step number 9, because when you are a child and raised, your upbringing will have some effect on who you are later in life, even if you don't think it does. The things our parents do, or whoever the people are that raise us and help mold us into adults, does have effect on who we turn out to be. Though in my mind, I do believe we're going to become who we are supposed to be, but these things that happen to us early in life will affect some decisions in our life later on. Though we don't want them to, or sometimes we do want them to if they are good things, but there also could be bad things. I give this thought because it helps mold and create who my character is or will be. It can also come into play in your story for a nice subplot as well. So giving it thought and creating this part of your character can give them layers. And you want your character to have layers because it makes for a better personality and expression in the character. So really think about the upbringing, rather your main character or sub-character, whoever this is you're writing. Think about their upbringing, about whether they had parents, were they orphan, were they treated well, were they treated poorly, were their parents happy, were their parents argumentative, how did that affect the child, their character as a child. So you have to think about your character from birth through childhood, through being a teenager, to being an adult. That really gives your character structure. You don't want a empty, soulless character. This will help you when you're writing, how your character speaks, and all of those things. And that will help you build better conversations in the book, in my opinion. Number 10. This is the final step for part 1 of character creation. This one is a question. Lover or a fighter? Is your character a lover or a fighter? This is a funny question, but it is a well-known question. You know, you've heard the saying, I'm a lover, not a fighter. So, is your character a lover or a fighter? Does your character take situations and prefer to be more loving about them, or kind, or, well, I wouldn't say standoffish, more I'm going to let this roll off type of personality? Or is the character a fighter? Like, I'm not giving up. I'm going to, not that a lover gives up, but I'm going to fight no matter what. Like, rather it's in a actual setting of fighting, or an actual setting of a personality that is a fighter. I'm going to fight this to the end. I'm not going to give in. I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight. So you want to think about whether your character is a lover or a fighter. And you can also come up with a different question on that one. You can say, because this is kind of connected to the personality traits part of it at the very beginning, because it kind of rolls back in on itself for the last step. So this is connected to the personality part of it, your character being a lover or a fighter. And I mean, you can change the question and base it around personality in order to ask yourself that final question. This question is to open yourself up to what you have come up with the other steps. Who have you built so far? Who is your character? You can say happy or angry. You can do a different question with that, but base it to the first step, which is personality traits. Now that you've built your character, all the center parts of your character with the other steps, now with the last step, you ask yourself a question, rather your character is this or that. And of course, there's always the gray area. So you don't have to necessarily, for sure, have to do one or the other. It could be 3 options. Your character, is your character calm? Is your character hyper? Is your character bubbly? Or something like that. You could do that. Ask yourself the question now that you've done the other steps and see what you think. Alrighty, so give all that stuff a try. Leave me some comments below on where you are in your character creation. Do you have another way you like to create your characters, or how do you think of them? Do you think that this is a useful 10 steps that you could possibly integrate into your own writing? I would hope so, and hopefully this video will help you do your character creation and get those characters booming. Alrighty, I'll see you next time in the Steps Before Outlining series.